Okay. I'm gonna make a little bit of a video on the build that I've been playing for the past, like 2-3 weeks now, and honestly, I'm fairly happy with it at the moment. It is actually performing really well. I've done a lot of things. I haven't done the Citadels, I haven't done the Arbinder yet, but that is next on my list to do here. And obviously, I haven't done uh, the splinters for the expedition. I haven't really bothered to do that. But to kind of like go over what the build is, how it functions, and what I currently use as a setup, do mind that this does cost a little bit of investment. It's not super expensive by any means. Once we go over the gear, I'll kind of like evaluate it, and then we can see like how expensive it like roughly is, right? Um, but I am currently missing one part of the puzzle, basically, which is this belt that I really want to put on, but due to me having triple resistances on my belt, and if we look at my resistances right now, although they're capped, if I take the belt off, it's a little bit more problematic. So for that reason, I need basically a better ring and a better amulet in order for me to put this on. But the sad thing about that is the economy of this league has completely been ruined, in my opinion. Like, it's completely dead, like fucked up, right? It's so I didn't really participate in the whole temple thing because I was away for Christmas and New Year's, and when I basically got back after New Year's, right? I had like a day and a half, almost 2 days in between New Year's and Christmas where I did play and I did try to set up the temple a little bit, but at that point the Halton tech had already been patched out, so there was just me running regular maps, and then every 6 maps I can like hopefully move the temple along by one room, which doesn't happen every time. I've just had a run now where I had like 5 full temple runs before I actually got a room to continue the snake, right? So that gave me a little bit of an issue because then the item values has skyrocketed completely, unreal prices for everything, right? Currently, I believe a mirror is like 3,500 divines, which is just absolutely disgustingly insane. But that also meant that just getting the ring upgrade in itself and the amulet upgrade would be over 100 divine for me. And I'm just not willing to spend every single divine I have in order to just get a ring and an amulet, right? That would have cost me probably somewhere in the 2 to 5, maybe even 10 divine last league, and this league it's over 100 divine. So for that reason, since I haven't participated, and as you'll see in my stash here, I don't really have that much currency at the moment if you compare to other people, right? That's made 10, 20,000 divines in that week of the Christmas week, basically. But yeah, let's go over the build. So first and foremost, let's check out the gear. The build is kind of built around this spear right here, which you get at Atziri by killing Atziri, or you can just trade for it. So let's just quickly see what the current price roughly is for a spear like this. So 150 exalts to 200 exalts. It's not really that expensive, right? That's fairly cheap, I would say. Now, I looked this up on Poe Ninja. That's where I got the inspiration for the build. I saw somebody using this spear, and I was kind of like, oh, since I was playing an Infernalist with the ED Contagion BONESTORM, and then I kind of want to swap into something different. So I was looking through Poe Ninja for a bunch of different build ideas and get some inspiration, and I saw somebody using the spear and was like really stoked on it. Now, he was using quite a bit of a different setup, and his setup was like 1,000 divines at least. It was insane the way he had set it up. Like, everything was just perfect gear. But yeah, so basically we use this spear, and we're going to use this skill to basically blow up entire screens of enemies, almost like as many enemies as can walk through the spear field will basically blow up, and then we just continue like that. We put down the spear field, we blow it up. That's basically how we're going to play the map. And once we get to a boss, there's a little bit more of a setup, but that's all fine. What you're kind of looking for on the rest of your gear is to cap out your resistances and then to get a bunch of flat damages, right? Like that is really what you want to get here. So if we go to my ring here, as you can see, it's not a bad ring by any means, but it's not perfect either, right? So this would have been way better if I had all resistance and like lightning resistance, for instance, at tier 2. That would have been perfect for this setup. But if we go look at the ring, what really matters here is the stats, and you can see you can buy 1 for 1 divine, so that's not super expensive. The other ring is kind of the same story. Flat damages, some resistances, a little bit of stats that helps me put on the different things that I want to have on. Okay, there's actually nothing quite like this. So if we take this off, yeah, so that like there's 1 for like 2 divine, up to 8 divine. But that's the problem with the league, is these prices is so turned into the absolute maximum. Shouldn't be worth anything close to that. Let's see the amulet. Alright, so what if I take the resistances off? No, what if I remove this one? Yeah, okay. So like 80 to, as you can see again, the prices are super skewed. I do like this remnant mod right here. It's not necessary. Like really, you're just looking for some spirit and some resistances, to be fair. And anything that helps with your damage is good too. For the armor, I'm currently using an evasion rating ES armor. I am considering swapping this for something different. I just kind of wanted the move speed, so that's why I went with this one. Again, it's just resistances. Life obviously is a good stat. That's something that the amulet is missing, right? Like I would have loved this amulet to have life and then percent life and then spirit. That would have been absolutely GG. But I can deal with that. Now for the gloves, we are using +2 melee skill gloves here. It's not a necessity. Flat damages is though, so you definitely do want to get flat damage. You do want to kind of get some resistances. And most important, you want to add the wolf idol to your gloves for the bleed magnitude. And that's the reason we want to put this belt on as well. It's the belt with the glove mod, so we can put the bleed magnitude on, and basically 38% extra bleed magnitude would be really, really, really nice on this build currently. I'm using this belt right now because I need the resistances, but once I get the resistances fixed, we are putting this on, that's for sure. Headhunter would probably also be really, really, really good here. I had thought about that, but yeah, we're just gonna have to continue playing around with it to figure it out. Now I'm using again evasion rating ES boots here. Life is like basically a must-have stats on this build in my opinion, and then of course movement speed and then some resistances. That's basically what I went for here. We are using the Sacred Flame. However, I think the Palm one, the Chaos one, is better. However, that is way more expensive, so that's the reason I went with the Sacred Flame, because extra damage is also really nice. The Purity of Fire is actually really, really nice because we are super low on fire resist. As you can see, a lot of my runes in this is fire resist. Fire resist on the helmet, fire resist on the boots. Just because we are lagging fire resist in general. Also, I do have 2 limbs at the moment, so I do have reduced movement speed penalty, and I do have the damage recouped as life here. So those 2 are kind of nice, works really well with this. I haven't bothered to put any more on at the moment. For the charms, I'm currently using the immunity to bleed. This one also gives you consecrated ground if you're standing still inside of a ritual or like in Singularum or something like that. This one actually comes in handy every now and then. And then we have, of course, the immunity to freeze. This also regenerates your energy shield or starts your recharge when it gets used. It does grant you a charge. You don't need the charge, so for that doesn't really matter. But the energy shield recharge, even though we don't have a lot, is kind of nice. Since we are not using a stun, charm, having a little bit of energy shield really does help a lot with that in the entire situation. And we are also using the immunity to ignite, and the reason for that is since we are a life build, ignite and bleed is like the two biggest problems for the build currently in order to like survive. So if you don't have those two immunities, every now and then you just get absolutely destroyed by ignite or bleed, and it can be really hard to recover from that. The helmet is, of course, the constricting command with the 4 fewer enemies to be surrounded. And the reason for that is when we get to the tree, I'll kind of show you why we are using that one. There is a world where you could add banners to this. If you really wanted to, you could make a banner setup on the second hand and then use that with your weapon skill points. I have been considering doing that, but I haven't done it yet. So for that reason, I'm not gonna go too deep into that. So this is what the tree currently looks like. We just, a lot of travel notes here, just basically to get to the area with the bleed over here. We also kind of grabbing these up here just to get a little bit more dexterity, to easier be able to put on our different stuff. As you can see, we have a pretty decent split on the attributes, so kind of need a lot of dexterity in order to use the spear. It's 115 dexterity for just the spear in itself, and then on top of that you have certain gem tier that has a high requirement on dexterity as well, so you do need quite a bit of dexterity. Just to highlight a couple of things here. So over here I am using the From Nothing Jewel, and it is the Valpak version that lets me grab these 3 notes here. So we're basically saving 3 points from the travel here. That's the only reason we're using it, is basically to save those 3 points, because those can then get added into the surround notes here around us. I am gonna grab this one as well. Definitely want to get this one. And then after that, I think I'm gonna grab this one as well. Since it's inside the circle, I can definitely grab that. And I kind of want to grab this one as well. And I have been thinking about grabbing this one and then swapping my gear to armor gear instead. Like armor boots and armor, I guess. That's how we're gonna body armor. That would probably not be a bad choice, especially when you can take this note right here that basically removes all the penalties from armor, right? Like the reduced movement penalty. So yeah, it's just not quite leveled yet, right? Like I'm level 96, so I do have 4 points to spare, and this is like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's basically where I want to spend my points. But as I said, you could technically do weapon set 1, weapon set 2, and have a banner set up on the second hand. And since you're already right here, where a lot of the banner stuff is, you can already grab a bunch of it without actually pathing here. And then you could technically, if you wanted to, you could path from here instead into some more banner stuff. Whatever you feel like is the most useful for you. I definitely do like the way I have it set up right now. I really like this setup. It's working really well. I have anointed this one for now just to kind of have a little bit more clear on the maps itself. Let's go over some gems real quick. Now, there is one thing I gotta highlight real quick. So this one right here says if you have at least 10 red, 10 blue, and 10 green, you get the different mods. So +5 maximum life, +5 maximum mana, and +5 to movement speed. And one way to basically get that to work, so what you're looking for is you need this number to be 10. As you can see, the dex is 10, the int is 11 right now, is by adding these. If I remove this, you can see it's 9, so now we wouldn't be receiving the buff from having 10 green gems. Now you can just add the green gems, the blue gems, or whatever, red gems, whatever you need to make that happen into your like regular spear attacks here. That still counts. So for that reason, even though we never use these, you can just add whatever you need to get the numbers up to 10. So that's how I did it. What's important though is below this, right? Like this is just to tap out the dex number. Now we have the remnants that comes from our Bloodmage Ascendancy, obviously. And we're just getting like extra effect and stuff like that. Then we have the spear, like weapon mod. So the actual skill we get from the mod, which is super, super cool. It's like this stamp in the ground. So when you have your spear field down and enemies move through the spears, you stamp the ground and it blows up everything around you. Also, one thing to note here, since we are using the Sacred Flame, we're getting the Purity of Fire. There is a world where you can add whatever you want to this one, and it doesn't actually cost you any spirit. So if you look at my spirit, I currently have 8 spirit. Let's take this one for instance. This one cost 15 spirit. If I pick this up, as you'll see, my spirit didn't change. No matter which one of them I take out here, it doesn't change. And the reason for that is because it doesn't cost you anything to have these on a scepter. And that's the reason we went with this setup. So you can put anything I should probably put vitality, tier 2 vitality in here, or tier 2 cannibalism in here as well, to save some more spirit, and that way I can add the banner if I wanted to. However, if I do want to add a banner, I gotta lose a skill, which would probably, or not probably, that would be your Thunderous Leap. You're not using this for damaging anything. You basically, this is my travel skill. So if I ever get to a point where I can't get past the area and I have to like walk around, I can always just jump over the edge like we just did there. And that's the reason I put that on. So let's go up here again. We have Herald of Blood. Obviously, this is what's going to blow up the screen with the spearfield. When we stamp the ground, the Herald of Blood is going to chain throughout the enemies and then kill everything. Then we're using Blasphemy to slow down the enemies with temporal chains. And we're just going to basically add on to the temporal chain, so it has as much effectiveness as it can with the current setup. And this basically slows down the enemies, so when they walk through the spear field, you're like more certain that they basically will get hit by more spears because they're walking way slower. So the spears themselves will slow them down also. So that works out really well in combo with each other. Then we have the spear field, and if we look at the damages looks fairly unimpressive, you could say. Like, it's low numbers, but as you'll see at the end of the video when we jump in and do an actual map, that even though the numbers seem kind of low, everything dies incredibly quick. Certain bosses die slower, especially if it's a boss that stands still and doesn't really move. Because the thing about bleeding is the more an enemy you have added bleed to moves, the faster they lose their health. And the more health they'll lose, right? The more they move. So there are certain enemies that just stand still and don't do much. Those enemies can be a little bit harder to kill, but anything that moves, so for instance, inside of Synchro, everything moves towards you if you're standing in the middle, for instance. Everything moves towards you. And if you have the spear fields down and they all have to move through the spear fields, you can blow them up so easily, and it does so much damage. Then we have our Rapid Assault. This is basically meant for bossing. So what we're going to do when we meet a boss is we're going to put down our spear field first. Let's say this portal right here is a boss. I put down the spear field first. The boss spawns in. When he spawns in, I'm going to hit my Bloodhound mark. I'm going to mark him. And then I'm going to stamp the ground, and then he's going to start bleeding. And then I'm going to put another set of spear fields, and then I'm going to hit my rapid attack on him, and then I'm going to stomp it again. And once I've done that sequence, the bleed goes crazy, right? Like, he starts losing health really, really fast. And once you get to a certain level of, like when he has like 5%-ish, maybe 10% life left, you can hit him with the Bloodhound. And that will basically just slap him around real quick. And I believe it's not believe. This is like a travel skill, so you can actually stand like this far away and hit it, and it'll just snap onto the enemy and just teleport you straight on him and explode the bleed that's currently, or the blood loss that's currently on him. And that does a ton of damage. Alright, so Blood Hunt, obviously that's what we use to blow up the enemies, so this is just super nice. I put Calling Strike on it. It's not really necessary. You can put something else in the end there. Then we have Overwhelming Presence to lower the stun threshold and elemental threshold on the enemies. That works out really well. We have our Vitality. Oh, we actually do have Vitality. So this is what you want to do. I just haven't actually done it yet. We're gonna swap this for this. Oh, sorry. We're gonna put that in here, and I believe we have, that was right there, Cannibalism. We're gonna add the Cannibalism 2 to our fire here. I just never got around to doing it because I didn't really want to swap to a banner. So now, as you can see, we just saved, we went from 8 spirit up to 43. Even though these are still active, they cost more spirit. So for that reason, oh, sorry, these two, they cost more spirit, right? Like 40 and 30, and the others were way cheaper. And since we put them in our Sacred Flame, we're now saving all that spirit, and that adds enough spirit to be able to add a banner. And now we can take out our Thunderous Leap and we can put in a banner, and we can make a second-hand setup for the banner itself. And that's how I would do it if I were to use a banner. Then we have Time of Need. This also gives us life. It removes the curses and elemental ailments, and we want to have compressed duration so it activates as often as possible. Then we have our Bloodhound Mark, which is what we use for our bosses or like super tough rares. Now, if we look at the skills or the stats, as you'll notice, it doesn't seem super defensive. Or obviously we are trying to cap out our resistances, that is a must. But besides that, even our life pool doesn't seem super high. We don't have a lot of ES. We don't have a lot of evasion. We don't have a lot of armor. We have basically no block. But it really doesn't matter too much because this is not a build where you want to be up in the face of an enemy just standing toe to toe and then fighting it, like kind of like you would on certain melee builds. This is more of it's kind of a range character. So you put your spear field down, everything moves towards you. As they move towards you, you kind of just move backwards. Let them run through the spears. The more the merrier, and you can always move backwards while you're putting spear fields down. So they have to run through all of them. And that basically creates the blood loss, and then you can always just hit them with the Blood Hunt if you feel like it. For the Ascendancy, I went this direction, right? So we went out here, we grabbed the Grasping Wounds first, then we grabbed the Crimson Power, then I grabbed the, Blood Burbs, and then lastly I grabbed these right here. Okay, so we're grabbing this one last, and this one we use because we have our Blasphemy, so basically we get reduced life regeneration on enemies, and at least 15% of their life is reserved. So that works out really well with Blasphemy. You could, however, swap this out for the Sanguine Tides if you wanted to. This is also a pretty decent stat, but I just really like this one, honestly. It works out pretty well. Couple of things in the early games that did help me a little bit is grabbing, for instance, this node right here to recover 3% life on a kill. This can be really helpful in certain situations if you get pushed into a corner, for instance, or something like that. So early game, this is a really helpful. Now this is obviously not a starter build, so it's not something you can start the game as. I definitely wouldn't start the game as a spearfield build. However, you are on a witch with this one. You could technically play anything else if you wanted to. Like, there is a multitude of different characters this setup would be good for, I would say. But if you are doing like me and playing a witch, the way I would personally do it, or did it, is you use the ED Contagion, BONESTORM, speedrun method to level up the character and get it to endgame. Basically, that build is viable all the way up to like T13, 15 in that area, right? That's when it starts kind of like falling off a little bit, but you can go all the way there with minimal gear, right? So that's a really good starter build, and then you swap into this later as you get a little bit of currency and you're able to invest into the most necessary parts for the build, which in my opinion, the most necessary parts is obviously the spear. The helmet is basically also a must in my opinion. So these two is kind of like what you have to get, right? I don't believe the helmet is super expensive. No, it's not. It's fairly cheap, right? So the Sacred Flame might be a little bit more. Let's just see. No, it's like 1 divine. So currently, this build is what, like 10 divines? Something like that, maybe 15 at most. So I would consider this a fairly budget-friendly build, especially given that people have made 20,000 divines so far. This is a very cheap build with the current setup. As you can see, it's none of the stuff I'm using is basically perfect, right? Like, none of it is perfect. There's not a single piece of gear here that's, well, you could technically say the gloves is close enough, but the rest of it is all pretty mid, right? Like, all the mods and everything is pretty fucking mid. It's not even that good. And it still functions really, really well. It just performs incredibly well. Also, one thing to note is I kind of wanted to get this, and I have been considering to anoint this on my amulet, because this would provide some more safety for me, which is the only kind of issue. Even though we get the life remnants and we go like 4.1k life, something in that area, roughly. There are just certain enemies that have like an incredibly high one-hit ability, right? And those, you have to be aware of those enemies, and you kind of want to be on the like far end of it. Like, you don't want to be all the way up in their faces. You want to kind of be like one spearfield away if it's like a super harsh one. So certain abyss monsters, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Is certain abyss monsters is just damage wise out of this fucking world, right? Like, they'll one tap you so fast. But it's really, I haven't died a whole lot on this build. Now, we can't really tell, right? Because obviously I played this as the League starter and I did the ED Contagion, so I have died quite a bit. But I would say I've probably roughly died in the 50-ish times since I swapped into this spell, just due to how strong it is. And a lot of times what I die to is abyss monsters, and it's especially the laser. If enough of them puts that laser out and it all hits you at the same time, even though you basically have 4k life, it empties out your life so freaking fast. So that's like one thing you really have to be aware of with the build, is always managing your life, always always having one eye on your life pool. In terms of mana, as you can see, the mana usage is so low that we'll literally be able to regen the mana before we rarely ever have to hit a pod. I do have it just in case, but it's so rare. It's mostly just when you get the mana siphoning ring mod and you have to fight that, that's when I kind of need my bottle more or less. But yeah, it's not super bad. I'm using the charges per second for both bottles, and the reason I do that is just they can recharge inside of a boss fight. You don't have to kill anything. They just do it automatically. And once you know the boss fight's good enough, you can easily like just move around without dying, and then having these fill up over time is just works out really well. I will say the From Nothing jewel is probably the most expensive port of the build. Yeah, it's 3 div now. That's not even that bad, right? Like, and as I said, it's not a must. It's just to save these 3 points right here, so you can add these 3 points over here later, for instance, or like wherever you feel like it's needed. But yeah, this is just my current setup. You could do this way better if you wanted to, like use some more expensive gear, and you'll get like way more out of it than I'm getting right now. I'm gonna leave a link for the Maxroll guide that I have made for it in the description. Now, I will just highlight this real quick. There has been a couple of issues with the Maxroll guides in previous videos where they didn't, when you press the link, it didn't actually open the guide itself right away, and that is apparently a bug on the website that was going on right as the league swapped from the Abyss to the Val League. There was like an issue, so that's the reason. Everything should be working fine now, yeah, it should be uploaded once this video goes live, so you should be able to just go into the description and then find the Maxroll guide, and then you'll have a written guide with all the setup, so you don't actually have to watch the video over and over. It's just an easier way to make it happen, and easier to follow around. So yeah, I hope you guys like the belt. I have, as I said, played it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm really happy with where it's at. Not a whole lot of bad things to say about it, honestly. I feel like it's super powerful. I can do the temple, I can do end game bosses. I haven't done the citadels yet, but I can easily do them. I'm 100% guaranteed, like I'm 100% sure I can do them. I just did the mansion and the island with the where you get Guythatdies. I forget what it's called. Those special new bosses, the anomaly bosses. I just did those. First, I did them obviously on a 4-mod map just to see it, to make sure that I was actually able to do them. And then I did it on a 6-mod map, fully juiced and easily. Like it was super. It was a walk in the park, honestly. Again, certain bosses, they stand still a lot. I can't highlight that enough. If they stand still, it takes a little bit more work to kill them. If they move a lot, they just die so incredibly fast. But yeah, super nice build. Honestly, I would say it's probably an 8 out of 10. Really like this one. Really like this one. So yeah, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good jazz. Let me know if you have a suggestion or potentially an idea to upgrade the build, something I should change, something I should do differently. Yeah, I'll take all the information and suggestions I can for upgrading this stuff, and I'll implement it into the Maxroll guide. Obviously, I can't change the video once it's out, so if you guys come up with some ideas or have some suggestions for things that I should change, you can always put it in the comments. I'll then look it up, I'll test it out, and I'll put it in the Maxroll guide if I really like the suggestions. And obviously, I'm gonna give you a shout out too if you put a suggestion that just turns out to be the best thing ever. So yeah, have a good one. I hope you all have a good day, good evening, whatever it might be for you. And as always, I'll catch you all in the next one.
How much can It's the first time of today. Today. To dream, believe. You are the strength, you're all I need. Oh, gonna give it a shot. Only one of me to shield you all from the enemy. You're a superhero. You're a superhero. Can I be your superhero? Superhero. 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 Can I be your superhero? Over the edge, feel like I'm floating through the air. The pain I felt is paid for, all is said and done. Oh, I am restricted, fixed upon the web. I need to kick the habit that my mind is breathing in. Break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless. Burning the bridge that keeps us. I'm here and I'm fearless. Exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must conclude. I am conflicted, watching where I step still, hanging in the balance. Not the life I want to live, I want to take it all. Standing tall, fear I weighed the person you are. Oh, break out, I've got to see. Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played it innocent, a feel of discontent. I'm finally facing it all, fearless.
Det her er Molly. Hun er ked af det. Hun havde glædet sig til en ferie i et dejligt Nova Sol sommerhus. Men hendes familie ventede for længe, og en anden familie bookede sommerhuset først. Book din 2026 ferie nu på novasol.dk.
Johnny's always running around, trying to find certainty. Johnny's always running around, trying to find certainty.